What is the cost of saying no to AI?
I'm Alyssa Blackburn.
I'm Mike Loader. TechEdge starts now. Hello and welcome back to TechEdge, presented by the team at AvePoint, where each episode we delve into the latest industry trends for business IT and their significance in today's ever-changing landscape. Now, in this episode, we discuss the pros and the cons of AI adoption. Alyssa, huge topic.
Absolutely. Now, Mike, you've worked with me for a little bit, so something I'm sure that you know about me is that I'm incapable of saying no to anything.
Yes.
You said to me, let's go abseiling after this. I'm in. Let's do it. But yeah, 100%, I've already booked it. But do you know that one thing organisations just cannot say no to now is the AI revolution?
Right, we're beyond that point.
We are beyond that point. You cannot say no. So I'm absolutely really excited to have our next guest on. So Mario Cavajal, who's from the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer at AvePoint, and he's going to talk to us about what's the cost to businesses who are saying no to this, because you know there's fear and there's trepidation about this changing environment. But there's actually a business impact to trying to shut this stuff down, and Mario has got some absolutely critical things to tell us about that.
Wonderful to see you. Mario, thanks for your time. What are some of the potential risks and, of course, costs associated with businesses deciding not to adopt AI tech?
Well, thank you both for having me on. It's a pleasure to join you in this conversation. And you know, it's a great topic. Some of the costs that we're seeing really come down to how organizations just think about costs nowadays. There's a lot of vendor consolidation, especially in the software space. But when you think about the risks with AI, it's really around competitors. Whoever leverages AI for efficiency, for data-driven decisions, making AI really at the center of their strategy, I think it's going to win. So if you're not really paying attention to that, that could be a reason why your competitors outpace you. Another one that is really interesting in many of the conversations I have with executives is the cost of missed opportunities, where AI can truly unlock new revenue streams for sure. And most of that is really around optimization of existing processes. There are many organizations that still are leveraging legacy systems. And so if you move away from those legacy systems, you could truly unlock opportunities. And then maybe the last one would be, how can we think about AI enhancing your competitive position? And that really comes down to personalization and improvement in the services and products you're bringing to market. And a lot of it has to do with personalization, improving the end user's experience, and making sure that there are true outcomes of value.
Absolutely. Mario, can you maybe give us some examples of industries or organisations that are suffering due to their reluctance to integrate AI into their workplaces and into their new working life?
Sure, Alyssa. You know, there are, as you probably understand, there are a number of early companies coming into this idea that AI could truly transform them. But AI is actually, it's been around for a while. And the industries that really have suffered are, you know, maybe that we can look at three. Let's talk about retail. Think about the impact Amazon had on the retail, traditional retail. And Amazon began doing a lot of this personalization that I mentioned before, which really was driven off of AI algorithms that really were personalizing that experience. And so, you know, retail, I think, continues to be a place where if you're not really keen on centering your strategy around AI-driven recommendations and personalization, you will be left behind. The other one is obviously healthcare, providers that did not integrate AI for diagnostics, for personalized medicine. Certainly, you know, there's a potential that there are higher operational costs in not changing to modern ways in which we can deliver patient care. So these are industries that are now keen on advancing their efforts so that they don't, you know, really get left behind.
Absolutely. So how does saying no to AI technology impact a business's competitive edge? If we can go into it in a bit more detail when it comes to today's market, it's ever-changing and things are obsolete quite quickly.
Yeah, you know, you could lose your ability and agility to compete on efficiency, on customer experience. That can create a lot of churn for the business. And then, of course, innovation. If you're not innovating, it's difficult to anticipate the needs of the consumers of your product. Another would be AI-enabled competitors can offer faster and more accurate services at a lower cost. So once again, cost optimization is really top of mind. And so really think about that efficiency through AI-enabled capabilities. And then another one would be probably missed opportunities for new business models that are driven by AI, such as a subscription service, for instance. We're seeing a lot of goods being delivered in a more consumption-based or subscription service, and that provides consumers more choices. And if consumers have more choices, then you have, in essence, an opportunity to upsell and cross-sell your products. So these are three, key areas that I think are super important in today's competitive market.
I think, Mario, you're absolutely right. And I thought your example earlier of retail was absolutely spot on. And my own personal experience with this is I have embraced, and you and I have talked about this ourselves, I've embraced reading books on tablets.
Yeah.
So rather than in hard copy. And I'm getting myself into more and more trouble with this is because every time I finish a book, it pops up and says to me, based on your choices and based on what you've been reading, here's a whole bunch of recommendations that I go, oh, yes, that sounds amazing. Add to cart, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. So I think I'm single-handedly keeping ebooks alive at the moment.
They gotcha.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely have me because those algorithms are feeding me more of what I like. So I'm engaging with it more. So then I'm adding more to it. And so it's clever, it's a clever business strategy to give me more of what I want. But I think Mario's absolutely spot on there with those kind of points. But Mario, let's think about this from a long-term perspective. What are some of the financial implications that if businesses are avoiding these enhancements and this really cool technology that can add so much to the consumer, what's the impact for them?
Yeah, the impact could be diminishing profitability for sure. And that is a challenge that all organizations face, and it is a cross-industry challenge. And profitability now is something that is also changing the landscape of how new entrants and new ideas come into the market. And so that's probably one. The other is you're still going to see a lot of increased operational costs from maintaining legacy systems and sustaining old processes that are holding your business back from being more agile and more responsive to customer needs. And so if you don't, focus on optimizing some of the points that we just made, then you're truly going to have a difficult time operating in this new competitive environment.
Mario, how can businesses assess whether the cost of implementing AI actually outweighs those potential benefits that we've touched on? It's sort of a double-edged sword.
It is. But, actually, Alyssa joined me earlier this week. We had the opportunity to have industry leaders at a roundtable discussion, and we talked extensively about, how do we actually think about the potential benefits? And the first thing is we see a lot of organizations conduct a thorough cost-benefit analysis approach. And, the idea here is to consider both direct and indirect benefits of AI in your business, evaluating the short-term and long-term gains that include how are we positioning ourselves competitively in the market. Also, I think matters. Introducing a new AI capability can fundamentally change a product's life cycle. And factor the potential risks of not implementing AI could also introduce more security risks. The idea is to continue to think about what are you using, what's the information you use to make decisions about your products and your consumers. And that really speaks to the data, the quality of your data. So there are ways in which you can achieve advancements in your business. But first, you must understand where those benefits are.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. So Mario, in your opinion, what are the key factors that are preventing businesses from embracing AI? And what are some of the things that they need to do to overcome those barriers? Because the barriers are real. They're not, they're not imaginary.
Yeah.
There are actual barriers there. But as we've been talking about through this conversation, we can't say no to it. It's too late. We've crossed that line. How can we help them get over those barriers to be able to have a really successful implementation?
That's a great question. There probably are, I would say, four, and these are all, they interlock. First is, I think we're still seeing that knowledge about AI and the impact of AI is what people are really looking for. So understanding the AI technology, the benefits. We've seen a few commercial products come into market The question is, well, how can I embed all that into my business? The second is the high initial investment into some of these commercial off-the-shelf products. And so because of that, because of the cost of running AI, the compute cost, the ROI, what's the return on this investment we're making? And that's unclear. There's still a lot of blurriness about what's the true impact. And that brings, it introduces a number of, fears that are really holding back or creating more friction to adoption. One in particular is disruption to existing processes, which of course, brings you back to change management. How is the organization going to go through the change? How do you develop champions within your organization that are interested in educating so that the change management becomes much more fluid and you don't have this adoption friction or paralyzed fear? And then, of course, all of this is part of the bigger picture, which is data privacy and security concerns, which seem to be also, the blockers or sort of those hurdles that many organizations have to overcome. And we are, as an organization that spends a lot of time unpacking these, we are seeing positive momentum. A lot of companies really are moving into pilots, experimentation, and this week in particular, I had the privilege of spending time here in the Australia region and seeing organizations that are really excited about the potential impacts, the positive impacts that AI will bring to the business, and of course to personal lives of many that are seeing changes and how we could have more convenience, right? In having time to pay attention to the things that really matter.
Mario, very well said by you. And of course, we want to thank you for joining us on the program and highlighting a little bit more about this space. It's obviously going to be something we keep an eye on. But once again, appreciate your insight on the program today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I wish you both a pleasant afternoon.
So say yes to AI.
Yes to AI. It's too late now.
Okay.
You have to do it. But I think what Mario really said there that was so important for us to remember is that you have to be outcome focused.
Yeah.
So if we're going to use this great technology, that's fantastic. But what's the outcome that we want to get to, and how do we measure that we've actually been successful in that? There's a bunch of different ways that organisations can do that according to what their different business needs are. But we always have to be focusing on the outcome and how do we make things better.
Well said by you. And of course, thank you to all of you for tuning in. This is Ticker. We will be right back in just a moment.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.